Okay. Um. Yeah. I'm here for the live stream today. I don't know if we'll have people joining in very soon, but I posted it on YouTube here in the community feed. I also posted it on TikTok and also on Instagram that I'll be going live today. So, latecomers, do sharp sharp and join up. So basically, um, I'll be talking about how to set up a factory. That's right from the early stages. Maybe if you just got the idea, you're thinking of how to proceed. So I'll be starting from there. Then I'll also be looking at some of those things you need to keep in mind when establishing a factory, where to get the equipment, and where to buy the equipment if you're in Nigeria, if you are from any other country. Because I noticed of late I've been getting a lot of people too from other parts of the world joining the channel. So yes, today I'll be sharing information on all that and I'll be taking questions. I can see one person has joined the stream. Welcome to the stream. And to the new people joining the stream, just leave a hi in the chat section so that you know we can begin discussion from there. So like I was saying, it's basically just to share more information on where to buy the equipment and how to source some of these materials required for establishing a factory. Early this year, that was even last month, I attended an exhibition in Lagos, and that was the first ever exhibition I ever attended. I don't think I've been to any kind of program like that before. So it was the first one, and I got to see a lot of manufacturers of industrial machines. A few of the companies I saw there was E1 Machine, it's a Chinese company. There was Krohn's Machine. Krohn's is a very popular supplier of filling and packaging machines. They are multinational. Then I got to see Index 6 and a few other companies too who had equipment on display. So just by discussing with them, I got to learn more about their equipment, the various applications, and how they can be used. I don't know if you are hearing any noise in the background, but yeah, just try and ignore it and focus on me. So yeah, they had a lot of equipment. I got to see them, even baking equipment too. I saw bakery equipment there too. So for setting up the facility, most people do come, they'll ask you, they'll say, okay, how much is the equipment? But for you to know how much equipment will cost for your own factory specifically, we need to know the kind of production you are going for, the scale of your factory, if you will be working with one machine, two machines. There are a lot of factors that come into play. That is why in the one-on-one coaching session, the first question I do ask is, where do you intend to set up the facility? Do you have a space? Do you have a land? Or are you just starting afresh? Yesterday, someone sent me a video. He's thinking of converting a hall into a water factory. And it's not bad converting a hall. If I could upload the video here, maybe I would have uploaded it. Or let me see, is there a way for me? I'm not sure I can share the video. Let me just give the story. So yeah, the hall was there, but it was located in the compound. So in the compound, there's living residence and there's also the hall where he intends to use as a factory. So for such places, if you have a house whereby there's a residential space and maybe some other parts, I don't know why my network just keeps annoying me. Okay. Sorry, I believe this is Nigerian factor. For some reason, over the past week and this new week we are entering, it shut up till just now. The network has just been annoying. You use it for before it will start working properly. Nigerian matter is just too much. So yeah, he's converting the hall. Now the main thing you need to do, like the hall now when starting, you need to think of the kind of production you want to do. If it's just sachet water, usually sachet water doesn't have much problem like that. Sachet water is quite straightforward. Like this factory where I am now, where I'm recording this video, you can see the machines. Where I record most of my videos, the ones you even see on my channel, is in a house. This was previously a 2-bedroom flat, but we converted it. This place used to be the parlor, the living room. So it's now the production hall. The car park, where I assume used to, where it used to be the car park, was converted into the finished product room. So the capacity of this place, when we produce water, is able to carry 1,500 bags, at least 1,500, 2,000 bags. That's when we've produced and everywhere is loaded. So this is because we are also trying to expand the finished product room, because we noticed previously we used only one machine. We used one machine heavily for our production, but now we use two machines. So we noticed when there's light, we produce, everywhere gets filled up, and there's no more space to store water, and there's still light. So we are trying to see how we could expand so that at least if there's light, we'll be able to produce up like 2,000, 3,000 bags and keep. By the way, this is a mini factory, this is a portable factory, so that you won't think your own factory too will be like that. Let me also address a particular video which I posted. There's this video I posted a while back. By the way, if you have any question, please leave it in the chat section so that I can start responding to some of those questions. Okay. Okay. So the video was about how much a pure water factory saves. By the way, hear this word, oh, save. Save is the key word there. But a lot of people mistook the information. I don't know. So I was wondering, is it that people didn't really understand what I was saying there, or they were watching the video and they were thinking their own thing? I don't really know. Well, the main idea was I was just trying to give an example of a pure water factory with one machine. At the end of the month, after I've removed the cost of producing sachet water, we've removed the money for nylon, money for powering the factory, money for running the vehicles, and every other thing. I said we're able to save 150,000. That's on behalf of the factory. Now, this 150 that was mentioned in there was for unforeseen events. So this is excluding maybe factory profits or anything like that, because when you remove money for salaries, you also pay yourself as the owner of the factory. So depending on the amount you remove, that one is at your own discretion. You know how much you are removing. But there still needs to be money that is saved for the factory. I think most people, once they get into this business, they do get carried away with how much profit they should be making or how much they should make. The main idea or the main narrative I'm trying to push, or I was trying to push in that video, is you shouldn't dwell heavily on how much profit you will make. It should be how much you'll be able to make enough to save on behalf of the factory to sustain the factory. Because you can make profit this month, and next month, what if you don't make profit and you don't have enough saved up for the factory to maintain the factory? It will affect you on the long run. That's one of the reasons why you see most factories closing down. Some people, is because they are not able to sustain the factory. Like this money you are saving is so that in case an equipment breaks down, in case you have any challenge, maybe electricity wiring, plumbing. Just last week, one of our pipes here, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was because of the heavy rain or something that caused it. It just the joints, that's the place where you connect two pipes, it just started leaking. And it's not the kind of leaking that you say you ignore it. That kind of leaking that you have to attend to it. So after attending to that one, we also discovered that some wires needed to be adjusted. We need to do some sellotape work and all those other things. So there are a lot of things that could arise. The same last month too. One of the vehicles, they had to change the tire. So if it is just from the profits you make in the business, you won't be able to sustain all these things. So the idea should be that you are able to maintain your factory. Although profit too is good because you are investing millions, so definitely you would want to think of your profit margin that you'll make. But if you are coming into this business, think of it as long term. Because even when you come into the business, if it is profit, the first 3 to 6 months, you won't even really understand your workings because you are still in that stage of a startup. And being a startup, you are spending a lot. You are spending on establishing the factory, maybe doing some tiling work, drilling borehole, doing some new connections, buying a transformer, and some other things. So there's a lot of initial capital you will put in, and it's not within that short period. Like, okay, think now maybe you buy a transformer, for like 6 to 10 million, depending on the size of your factory. Do you think you'll be able to realize that 10 million within a month just for the transformer? So you won't. It's a gradual process. It's actually a gradual process. But when done correctly, on the long run, in the future, the profits and the margins you see from the business, it will get to a stage that all the money that's just coming in, that one is your profit money, and it will be able to sustain your business. So let's try and focus on sustaining the business. Then we can think of profit making in the future. Profit is good, but let the idea should not be you are entering the business, you are thinking how much will you make next month. A pure water business, especially manufacturing, is not the type that you will see quick money, sharp. It's a business that you need to build momentum and work with it as you go up. If it is profit you are more interested in, you want to see early profits in the business, early returns, what I would recommend you do is to open a distributorship store. You should have a distribution store. Now, what I mean here is you won't go into manufacturing directly. Instead, you can do retail and redistribution. So you can have a warehouse where people who need water can come to you. They will come there, place their order. You'll be supplying in bulk. If people come, we have an ice block machine around there. I can see it from here, sir. So that ice block machine, similarly, we load it with pure water, we stock it with pure water. So when people are in need of cold water, especially during the weekends, during occasions, and these people who sell pure water, they hawk pure water around, they do come to make requests for the water. So we sell it at a higher rate compared to what you will even sell the normal pure water which you produce and bag. So if you are able to go into that line of business and you are able to have stable electricity and you are able to consistently supply that cold water, you see that the people coming to you for business will increase greatly. So I'm still waiting for people to join. I don't know, is it that they've not gotten the notification or what's up? People are not joining yet, but we'll still continue. Now, in regards to starting up the factory, okay, I mentioned you should own a place. You will run into some challenges when doing this business. That's just a fact. When you are coming into the business, there are some challenges that you will possibly encounter. Now, I'm not saying I know definitely the kind of challenge you will face, but what I'm saying is, like, let me give you for example, when we constructed our first factory in Gora, Nasarawa State, the bottled water factory, very massive factory then. The suppliers of the generator, they were supposed to supply a generator for us from Kaduna State. So the generator was a 100 kVA generator, and we made arrangements, payments were made, everything, they've got in the vehicle. Now, for the vehicle to leave Kaduna to Abuja, do you know it took us almost 2 days before we saw that generator? Now, what happened? Along the line, as we were trying to bring the generator, they said the vehicle broke down, another issue happened. In short, they said the initial driver that was supposed to take it, he hasn't been around. They'll call him, they'll say he's coming, but they won't see him, all those things. So there were little things like that were happening that caused the generator to delay. So similarly to, you might make requests for maybe equipment, the driver might delay to bring it, or you might be trying to connect lights to your factory. In short, it even happened to us too in that same Gora area. When we bought a transformer to connect to our factory, before we could even connect the transformer, because they bought poles, we worked with NEPA, that's the power holding company, to see that they connect electricity specifically to that factory. That's with our own transformer. Before they could even connect the transformer, while they were digging for the pole, some people came that we were digging in front of their land, want to put transformer, that for that reason we should settle them. So you can see how Nigeria is. They say we should do something for them now. Imagine they are trying to establish a factory in your community where everybody will benefit, and 100% of the staffs working there, okay, let me just say like 95% of the people working there are people who are living within that same area. But it was still the same people that were calling to say, these are people that will benefit from the factory being there. But they were the same people who were calling to say our pole, all the electricity line is going to cause obstruction. They were just coming up with excuses so that we'll remove money and give to them. So similarly, you might face something like that, depending on your situation, depending on what is going on. You might run into some little challenges like that. I don't know if you are hearing noise, but yeah. They are doing some work. They are washing one of the vehicles, distribution vehicles, for business tomorrow. So, yeah, similarly, you might make requests for vehicles too. You might hear as they are bringing the car, this one happened, they'll need to buy this oil. Nigerians, just doing business in Nigeria is just, you understand. So you just need to be strong and push through so that all these things won't be what hinders you from actually doing your business. A lot of business people do face challenges. In short, not only in Nigeria, even in the US, UK, different parts of the world, even China. I heard one of the richest person in the world now actually produces bottled water. A Chinese man, a Chinese company, one of the richest people in the world, bottled water. So you see there is a market. Although you face the challenges, but there is a market for it. So yeah. Once you are prepared for some of these challenges, when they come your way, they won't really bother you like that. Also, in the installation aspects, now in the installation phase, the documentation phase, you see the installation and documentation. After the installation, or while you are doing the installation, you can be also doing your documentation. This documentation is when they'll take your water for lab tests. They'll do lab analysis for it to check the water and see if the water is actually good and safe for drinking. Some people do the lab test themselves. But at the end of the day, before NAFDAC will come and approve your factory, they'll still take it to their own lab. Now they have labs in different regions. Like for North Central, the lab is in Kaduna. I know there's one lab too in Lagos, and I think there's one too in Port Harcourt. I'm not too sure. Well, during my one-on-one coaching session, I do give to my students contacts of those who supply materials, who do documentation, and all those other things. So if you know you're in the stage of actually proceeding ahead with some of all these things, you can join the one-on-one coaching session to make things easier for you. Shobon, we started, before we did our own NAFDAC documentation, we checked online. In short, the business as a whole, we checked online, we bought documents online, we visited people, traveled just to get information about this. And the information was hard to come by. But today, after we passed through all that, I said, okay, I'll do my own YouTube channel and I'll try and share all this information so that people won't too stress like that. So yes, if you're able to get a coaching program like this, a coaching session, and you're in the stage of actually setting up a factory, I feel you benefit a lot greatly from it. So the NAFDAC contact, he takes the water for lab test, he does the analysis, he does the documentation, there's the registration you do with CAC, then the one you do with NAFDAC, then there's the label too. You'll do a sample label, put your company name. The label, that's for bottled water registration. For pure water registration, they'll do a sample nylon, put your company name, everything, what it will look like when they've actually started producing and selling. So you take it to NAFDAC, they'll do their own documentation, their analysis, all those things before issuing you your number. Before they issue the numbers, they will come for inspection in your facility. When they come for inspection, there are some things which they check for, majorly your hygiene stuff. They will just try to make sure that everything you are doing there is safe and is of good practice. That's, since you are producing water, water is a consumable and people consume water every day. So they'll try to make sure that everything you are doing there is in a safe working environment and in good condition. So during that documentation, if you have everything, they will, give their comments and they'll get back to you on it. They'll, all the old paperwork will be done. But if your factory, they see a lot of corrections and there are a lot of things that you will still need to modify. Like when they visited our factory then, we had different consultations from different people. One person will come and say, okay, this is how you're supposed to set the factory. Production is supposed to be here. This one is supposed to be here. Another person will come and talk. At the end of the day, NAFDAC ended up visiting our factory twice. Or was it even 3 times? So they came the first time, they saw some things that needed to be done. They spoke about including demarcation within the factory. We had to do that. The second time they came, they observed that we didn't have a list of SOP, that's standard operating procedure. I also offer that too in my coaching session. If you want to get an idea of it, I can send you a sample template of our own. Then, have a look at it and replicate it for your own factory. So yes, they noticed that. They also spoke about including tags in the factory. That's if you are entering the production room, there should be a writing that says production room. If you are going to the finished product room, there should be a writing that says finished product room. Likewise, cloakroom and all those other places too. So they did ask of all these things. So those are some of the major things NAFDAC asked for. And during the inspection, everybody will put on lab coats, put on your face masks, hand sanitizer, and all those other things too. So yeah, they checked for all those things. So for the other documentation, that's for the CAC. That one is done online. It can be done online. Even the NAFDAC one too, you can do it yourself online, but if you are doing all these things yourself, it will stress you. There's people that actually have someone who is assisting them that usually get their number on time. There was one factory was around that Massacre area. The owner of the manager of the factory was discussing with me, and he told me their own number, aside when they were producing, because they had already started producing. He told me that they were still waiting for NAFDAC number. But the reason why they started producing was that the person in charge of following up their documentation, or the person that they later saw in the NAFDAC office, because initially they started on their own, the whole process, and it took them more than a year. They hadn't gotten the NAFDAC number. So they had to speak with someone working with NAFDAC, and the person came, then did a little inspection before the team would officially come. And he told them, okay, since they had already done all these things, they already had the equipment on ground, they should start producing. Although that is very risky, and officially you are not supposed to do that, but you know the way things are in Nigeria, sometimes there are cases whereby they might consider you because of the duration which you've had to endure and wait before they come for documentation. So yeah, working with someone to achieve this is highly recommended. And depending on where you are, you might be in Lagos, different parts of Nigeria. I believe you can do a simple Google search. Google is a tool, a resource, a software that will help you, understand how to go about the registration in your area. Now, when it comes to the equipment, there are several items needed for setting up a pure water factory. So the major ones is, aside from the borehole now, just the materials like this pure water machine you see behind me. The major things you need is the pumping machine. That's the one that will pump water from your raw water tank, the one that will draw water from your raw water tank through the filtration tanks, all those ones. There's pumping machine, water purification tanks, reverse osmosis machine, the ultraviolet water sterilizer, the pure water machines themselves, water filter cartridges, and ozone generator. So those things are the major items which you will be buying, and you will have them installed in your factory before you begin production. Now, aside from these things, these items I mentioned, the other ones which you will need to have on ground, that's before even buying these other materials, is at least you should have a borehole on ground already. You should have your water tanks on ground already. For the tanks, you will need at least 4, and it starts from anywhere 5,000 liters upwards will work for you. So if you have them, once the equipment come, they will install the equipment, and they'll do the test run. So depending on if it is a sachet water factory only or bottled water factory, they will do the installations accordingly. Some people are able to do both sachet and water at the same time. Sachet and bottled water, sorry, at the same time. Some people start with only sachet water, some people start with only bottled. So depending on your budget and the kind of project you would want to have, the kind of factory you'd want to have, you can work with either sachet water or sachet and bottled water, or only sachet or only bottled. There's also the dispenser gallon factory. Although personally I'm not in that line of business, that's in the production of dispenser gallon water. But maybe in the future, when there's enough money and enough resources, we can be able to also establish the facility. Noise. Okay. So yeah, for the equipment also, you can get the equipment. Like personally, I have suppliers in Abuja and Lagos. These are the two major places where I get equipment, and I supply equipment to people who need it too within the country. In Abuja, the office is around Games Village, and the other branch office is in Kubwa. Then in Lagos, the office is in Ojo, around Old Ojo Road. That Alaba Trade Fair is around that area. So when you get there, I think I posted a video a while back whereby I did a tour of one of the warehouses in Lagos. So there's the sachet water machine, there's the bottling machine, there is food packaging machine, there's food dehydrator, there is nylon printing machine, and for the nylon printing machine there are various sizes. Even for the bottling machines too, there are various sizes. So depending on which one you want to work with, they are all available. There's a company I also met at the exhibition. I intended to work with them initially. In short, we even scheduled a meeting, but one thing led to another, and we are still in touch, but I was not able to visit the warehouse. Now, what they do, according to what they explained to me, is they manufacture machines both in China and in Nigeria. It's a Chinese company, but they also have an assembling plant in Nigeria. And that company is able to provide equipment for 3,000 bottles per hour, 12,000 bottles, 20,000 bottles, upwards, depending on your scale of production. In short, somebody contacted me too recently that he wants to go for a very big project. That's a project capable of producing up to like 50,000 packs. So if you are going for such projects, you know that your machine or the equipment you are going for would be. There is noise here. I hate when noise is interrupting my live stream. Well, yes. Once you are able to get the equipment, now depending on your scale of production, they'll actually do the installations for you. And that is why I mentioned this in one of my videos a while back. Like if you are buying equipment, because somebody contacted me too one time. He said he bought equipment for setting up his own factory, but he needs me to come and do the installation for him. So I said, you can't buy equipment from one supplier and ask another supplier to come and another person to come and do installations for you. Although you can do that if you trust the person or you trust the engineers that were recommended to do the installation. But the risk here is if you are to run into any issues in the course of installation, maybe there's damage to an equipment, or maybe there's a part that needs to be replaced, you would need to work with the people that actually supply the equipment so that there won't be any issues when it comes to the warranty and all those other things. So working with the people who actually supply equipment to you is very important. Now, for the equipment again, for the operation of this equipment, you would need to hire staffs. There are people who already have experience working in a bottling factory. There are people who you will need to train them. Now, for our own factory, when we constructed the factory, we had to pay for training for all the staffs to be trained. In short, I myself too was part of the training, and we learned a lot during that period. So, when you are establishing your own factory too, if you have people with experience, that's fine. But if you don't have people with experience, you want to help some people, you want to teach them something, because that's one benefit, or should I say one good thing about this business. If you set up a facility like this and you're bringing people in, although some of them might not realize it, but you're actually helping them, because in the future the skills they will learn from this factory, they can use it to fend for themselves in other places. There is somebody we recently added to our factory. He helps with the packaging of pure water too. So he's learning on the job too gradually. And as he's learning, whenever he returns back to his hometown, he will be able to also work in a pure water factory. And funny enough, the villages and the rural areas don't have enough factories. In short, from the calls I've received and from my research in this business and in this industry, I've noticed that a lot of people, when they set up water factories, they do go to urban areas to establish the factory, and most of them forget about the rural areas. And that's where I see the potential for a huge market. Now, I was discussing with someone, he told me in their village, that was as at then when we were struggling to sell pure water for 300 naira per bag. He said they are in their village, they were already selling it 400 naira. So some people will tell you, oh, if you go to those villages, in the villages there, people don't have enough buying power, They don't buy pure water, they drink river water, all those things. But not all villages though. There are some villages that you go there, you see they are even buying bottled water. You'll be surprised. Although I know there are some key remote villages that they don't have access to some of all these things, and maybe there is no light there. That could be what is causing it. But if you can establish something like this, you have the capital to install solar, to fence the place. Security is another thing though, and we have security issues in Nigeria. So that could be one reason why a lot of people avoid going to the villages for setting up such projects. But if your village is in a place whereby there's no like criminal activities going on there, there's market there, and there's a lot of profit, and a lot of people you could help by establishing a facility like this in your village. Now, imagine you set up a pure water factory in a village that has neighboring villages around, and you have the resources to install solar, to build the compound well, install solar, have all the standard equipment there, and you employ people of that village to actually work in the factory. You see that you've improved the standard of living of the people living in the village. At least now, even they can use it as bragging rights to say, even us too in our village, we have a water factory. So yes, you will improve the standard of living, the quality of water they are drinking in the rural area, and you can even create jobs and employment for people living within that area. So establishing a facility like this is something that I believe will greatly impact the people you know, and people who you intend to help in the villages. Now, if you are setting up this business, somebody once told me that he's thinking of setting up the business, but he doesn't have enough money. But he's thinking of borrowing money to add to what he already has to set up the business. Now, I wouldn't lie to you, with the way things are in Nigeria, with the way inflation is going up, I think as at today, dollar is still around 1,005. Although I haven't seen the official rate, but I know dollar has increased, and it will keep on increasing. It's not as if I'm trying to prophesy doom for the country, but just with the nature of our economy and security wise, everything, all the arrows are pointing that the economy is not getting better. So if you are in this situation, you want to set up a factory and you see that your money is not enough, honestly, I won't advise you to start, sinking money into the business, because this project. Now, let me give you this example. Like, there are some people who even embark on projects like building a family house or their own personal house. They might start building along the line. Maybe the money gets short. They can't buy cement. There are some things that they can't buy. They can't complete the project. So it's similar to with setting up a water factory. Because of this whole idea of profit. If you are building a house, some people will say, okay, it's just a house. The house is not making money. But they'll be thinking, okay, this is a pure water factory. And when I put money, they are thinking of profit, profit, profit. But before you get to that stage of reaching that profit margin, that profit bed where you'll be seeing profit, there is a long list of things that you need to do and some things that need to align well for you before you are able to achieve it. Now, imagine you start sinking in money and you don't have enough. You start building. It gets to a point that you can't finish the building. You have a half factory. Or maybe you drill borehole, you've actually done the building, you bought equipment, you've done installations, but you can't buy materials. You see, you have everything on ground there, but you are still struggling. After buying the materials again, maybe you still need to buy vehicles, you need to employ people who work in the factory and pay them, all those things. So there are certain things that if you don't have enough, I know the business is a business that you also like to establish something like that, tell your family and friends you've opened up a business, all those kind of things. But if you don't have the money, I won't advise anybody. If borrowing is part of what you intend to do to set up this business, I would say you should hold on, because imagine you are constructing a factory now, sir. You are done with the construction, but with the way prices of things are increasing in the market, before you say you move into the next phase of another project, the prices of things have increased. In short, that's why I do tell people, if you really want to go into the business, the first stage should be buying equipment. Because if there is anything I know in this business that goes up and down like water, is the prices of equipment. So if you are able to get money to buy the equipment first, you have equipment on ground, then before you enter the rest of the project, yeah, that's a good thing. But if not, just try and make sure you have enough money. If setting up a water factory project, maybe setting up like a one pure water machine facility or two pure water machines facility is your goal, your budget should be enough that even after you've completed that project, you still have some money. You understand? Not that you do project at the end of the day, the thing is choking you, and they are waiting for the profit that you see from the business first before you finally leave. No, pure water business is not that kind of business. I will highly suggest that will be able to carry you till you are able to stabilize in the market in that business. So I hope this clarifies the whole issue of borrowing money. Just have enough money, you know, that will start for you. And in short, okay, let me give you this estimate now. Although I don't know what the price range for setting up the factory will be in the next 5 months or in the next 6 months, but an acceptable range. Because me, if I'm giving you range, let me let me tell you, if I'm giving you range for setting up a factory, if the project is supposed to cost you maybe 15 naira, me, I will say you should have 100 naira. That's double the amount. So if your plan is to set up a pure water factory with one machine or with two machines, your budget have like 50 million naira. You should be someone who has at least 50 million naira. So that even if you set up that 50 million naira should be enough to set up the facility for you from from scratch. It should be able to get you your equipment. It should be able to get you your raw materials. It's able to get you your vehicles, documentation, everything, and even change. You understand? So that's the major idea here. If you are setting up a facility, if it is a sachet water project, a bottling project, make sure that there's enough to be able to handle the whole activities, the whole setup fees, and the production and marketing fees. Now, after you've had your own facility, I talked about sustainability and being able to sustain the factory being your primary goal. Now, you should make sure that you do everything in your power. If it is to educate the people working with you, your employees, if it is to attend lectures, do everything in your power and find ways to minimize costs in your business. That's those expenses that make you spend money in a month in your business. I think I did a video a while back, and I also shared from our own personal experience that you will set up a factory like this, but because there are people, I've actually consulted for someone. He said he established his factory in Jigawa State, and since he established that factory, he's not sure he has ever made profit. He has just been spending here and there for the business, which is quite, you will feel somehow. Imagine you spent up to like 50 million or 70 million in the business, but at the end of the day, you end up saying that the money you are making or the money you are spending, you are not even seeing any good returns like that. So it's going to affect you a lot in the business, mentally, psychologically, financially. It will affect you in the business. So you should try as much as possible to see that everything you are doing, the activities of your business, is cutting down expenses. Now, what do I mean by this? You can establish a factory, production has started, but your production operator, that's the person operating your pure water machines, is producing and having a lot of leakages. Those leakages are what spoils, or should I say affects, the profit margin in your market. Now imagine like a 30 kg, I'm sorry, 1 kg is supposed to give you 30 bags of pure water. Now imagine that 1 kg is giving you like 25 bags, and 5 bags are going to leakages. Maybe as they are producing, the operator is not very experienced like that. The nylon is sealing and there are leaks in between. It will affect you, because you see that at the end of the day you buy nylon, but the amount of water you're supposed to get for a set amount of nylon, with the money you've spent, you are not getting up to that amount. It will affect you in that area. In short, in the carrying of water sef, like this packing bag, when we initially started, our sellers and the people helping us to sell were always complaining that, oh, each time they carry leather, the leather would tear. Although there are times whereby they will supply you nylons like that, they are not very strong. But the way you also handle the materials says a lot about, the quality too, and how long they will stay. Like for this pure water, if you want to carry it, there's a particular way you're supposed to carry it. You put your hand in between where the already tied and lift it. But if you say you will just be jacking it like somebody who doesn't have experience at all, or he doesn't know about the water business, your nylon will keep on tearing. And as they keep on tearing, you still need to buy more packing bag, because you can't go and sell pure water to someone in a torn leather and they will accept it and they will receive it. I'm sure it will speak bad of your company. And even in this leaking side too, when our drivers go out to sell and there are leakages in the pure water, they bring it back to us. Some people will say they can't accept the water except you go and change it for them. You change the leakages, and all those things, they affect the profit margin of your business. So try as much as you can to make sure that your business is not experiencing a lot of expenses like that. Also, in the aspect of delivery, your drivers might be going out, they might be going for extra runs, they might be overloading your vehicles. So all these things can stand as threat to your business in terms of generating expenses. Because imagine if they are overloading the vehicle, this mini hijet truck that is supposed to carry max 90 bags, 95 bags, but they are carrying like 120, 130. The vehicle will just look as if it wants to fly, as if it's ready for takeoff. And that's how they'll take the vehicle round the roads. And some of our roads in Nigeria, they are not good. You enter somewhere, the tire enters potholes and so many things. So all those things, they affect the business. And once they affect the business like that, you need to spend money. Because if your vehicle should spoil today and you need to go for business tomorrow, you need to repair the vehicle, you need to buy a new tire, you need to replace whatever is burnt. In short, some parts, like for this hijet truck, the last time we did some maintenance, what did they even said they changed it? Was it the shaft, or we ensured there was a time we bought the whole engine for the other vehicle. That's a new engine for the vehicle. We had to bring it from Kano. So where do you think all this money came from? Definitely it's not from the profit you are making in the business. And even if it is from the profit you are making in the business, you see that it's taking a whole lot. It will even take from your capital, because to buy engine, complete engine, what you didn't plan for, it's not something that can be easily written off like that. You need to source for funds and you need to inject money into the business for you to be able to accomplish some of these things and have a continuous running of the factory. So try as much as possible to make sure that as a business owner you cut down expenses. Ensure this is outside even the water business. If you are doing any kind of business too, try and make sure that expenses are reduced. This will, extend the length of the lifespan of your business, and you'll be able to understand what you are doing. Also, yeah, a few ways. I think in that video I also mentioned a few ways that you can, cut down the expenses. That's by carrying out regular maintenance, by making sure you educate your staffs, all those other things. So adopting those strategies will help you understand your business properly. You can also learn from your competitors too. If there is anything in the business, or maybe you're trying to get into the business, but there are some things you don't understand. Somebody called me recently. He said he wants to buy nylon materials. He's in the process of doing the test run for his factory, but he needs nylon wool to produce his pure water. And the person was calling me from Enugu State. I said, Enugu is far. Me, I'm in Abuja. Even if I should give you a supply of nylon now, he will put it inside vehicle and transport it to you. And once these drivers, they see it is nylon, or maybe we are transporting up to like 1 ton, if you hear how much they'll charge you, you just look for somebody within. So yeah, similarly, if you intend to set up a factory, maybe you're in Imo State, you're in Jigawa State, you're in Lagos, anywhere you are, try and do your ground findings within your area first. Then if you can't find suppliers, that's like for these raw materials, because the major things you need is your nylon roll and packing bag, and you will need a cylinder for the nylon production. The cylinders are of various sizes, so you just try and make inquiries. The cylinder is what they will use to print the nylon for you. The cylinder is your own specific cylinder for your own nylon rolls. So you can make inquiries from the local markets. There are other water companies too around. You see them going for deliveries, you see them driving around. You can stop them, speak to them, ask them how did they get their nylon rolls. Or you can even pick the sachet itself. You can buy any pure water, look at if you like the water, especially if you like the water. You pick the number there. Most likely the number you will see on the nylon will be the number of the manager or the owner of the factory. So you can call the person, have a discussion, tell them you are also trying to get into the business. And those of us in this water business, we are not greedy with information. No. In short, we do hold meetings. The only place that I would say we do get challenges sometimes is when it comes to sales and distribution of products in the market. Everybody is trying to capture all the customers in the market. But when it comes to rubbing minds, sharing ideas about the business, learning from each other, you can easily get the number of one of your favorite companies, tell them, okay, you intend to set up a water factory. How can they help you? What information can they share for you? And by so doing, they will share information with you that is even specific, the one that even fits what you want. Because if now I'm in Abuja here around my area, and maybe I want to expand and do sachet water here, maybe I don't already have a water factory. If I speak to a company here within Abuja, or within Kuali, or within Gwagwalada, and I ask them about business in those particular areas, they'll be able to share real-time information with me that normally I won't be able to get on the internet, because they are the ones that are actually doing the business. So from there, you can ask them, okay, share contacts for me, contacts of nylon producers, share contacts of me, of your operator. Most of these operators, they don't work full-time in a factory. They work on commission basis. So you call them, they'll produce for you. And because light is not even stable, that's why they don't normally stay full-time. So you call them whenever there's light, they produce for you and they go. So yeah, by working with people on ground, you'll be able to handle some of those immediate responses that you need for your business. If you even need engineer, maybe your machine is giving you a headache and you don't know how to handle it, maybe your operator too is also struggling with handling it, you can call one of those companies, pick the number and say, okay, this is the challenge I'm facing. How can they help you? They can now refer their own engineer to you, so that you will come check your equipment and carry out the maintenance or anything that you will need to do. So yeah, by working with people on ground, it will help you greatly in this business. Now, when you get into the business too, pricing your product is one thing you might actually struggle with. Now, the best way to fix the price for your product, especially if you live within a particular area, is just to find out how much your competitors are selling. You can find out, you can hear, okay, this person is selling for me 500, this person is selling 600, 500, 600, 600, 600, 600, 500. So by the time you hear this amounts, you can now collect your own data and determine, okay, what's the average price that pure water companies are selling here? What price do you know if you sell here, your market you'll be able to see something. Then you work with that. A challenge which some manufacturers do face is when there are so many factories. Let's say maybe in this particular area now, we have like 5 pure water factories. So the competition is too much from the manufacturers, and when there's too much competition from manufacturers, the price of the commodity in the market, it falls, and the consumers will just they'll see water everywhere, and your product won't have that much value. It might get to a point that you even see the profit margin and your cost of production they are close to each other. So that's one effect or one cause, when you have too much manufacturers in an area, that usually arises your pricing. But if you are in a rural environment, maybe like in a village that I mentioned earlier, whereby you are the only factory and you have 5 neighboring villages, you see that people are coming from different villages to buy from you at that point. So at that point, you can easily set the price which is favorable to you. You know how much is your cost of production. You can set your profit margin, and you'll be able to detect or determine how much the price of the product will be in the market. So understanding your market on ground, understanding who are your competitors, understanding who are those people around you will help you fix your price. Now, when you also set up the factory, there are some people, we also face this too in our factory. Some people will come and tell you, fix your price like this, so this is how much some people are selling, especially for bottled water. Some people came and told us our bottled water is too expensive, we should sell this particular way. Some people will come and tell us we should sell this way. Please don't listen to all those people. If you listen to them, those people will run down your business at the early stages. In short, when we even started, somebody came that he will be a distributor for us, and we accepted him as a distributor. So he started distributing. After a while, he started distributing to people who were not paying. He will distribute to some hotels. The hotels will say it is after they've sold the water, they will gather the money, then they will give to him. We started noticing that the remittance or the money coming after we've given out product was not much. And sometimes you go to them, they will tell you, okay, wait till weekend. Or sometimes you go for money, they will tell you should wait till manager comes. So things like that, affected our sales of bottled water in the early stages. So you can also learn from this and try to avoid those customers that would want to take advantage of maybe the existing relationships you already have. They will say, okay, supply me water after selling, I'll sell for you. And they'll even try to make it look as if they are doing you a favor. They'll sell for you, they'll now bring the money for you later. You are the manufacturer of your products, you know how much you've invested, and you know how much you are selling in the market. So by having a strong ground and setting ground rules for how business should be done, you see that nobody is holding your money like that, and you're actually getting the returns on your investment. So after you've already established your factory, you have all these things on ground, you know, try to learn from multiple sources. Like I mentioned earlier, you can learn from people on ground, you can learn from the internet, you can do your research, you can speak to people, attend seminars like the Atwa conference which I attended, Association of Table Water Producers. Similarly too, you can engage in such groups and such activities for you to learn more about the business. Now, for the power consumption rates, for the power consumption rate of the facility, there is no fixed rate normally for how much light a factory will consume. There is no fixed rate. So what you will do in this case is, after you've already constructed your facility and you intend to install solar, after you've already constructed the facility, you can now book a call with a solar company. If you don't have a solar company, I have contacts who do all these things. In short, the company I partner with, we handle most of all these projects. So yeah, we can do that for you. If you want to install the solar after the equipments have already been accessed. We've seen how many bowls you have. Maybe you want to even buy some fridges. You've already seen everything on ground, the accommodation side. Maybe you have a room where some of your staff stay. Then from there, you can now know how much or what kind of battery can be recommended for your own factory. Now there are different types of battery. There's the dry cell battery and there's the lithium battery. The lithium battery is by far the most reliable battery now. In short, recently I was seeing on the news that Nigerian government is thinking of establishing a lithium battery plant. I think there was one they commissioned one time too around Gora, but I don't know if they started production there. So knowing much about power consumption to help you in your business. Once there is light, production will be ongoing. And once productions are ongoing, you have enough light, the profit shouldn't be something that you really struggle with. But the major problem in Nigeria is just the light issue which we face. But one way for you to handle the light issue and say bye bye to it is if you install solar for the business. So those are some of the major things I wanted to share today with in regards to setting up a water factory. So I don't know if there are any questions. Not a lot of people actually joined the stream today. I was actually looking forward to seeing uh, all. I was actually looking forward to seeing a lot of you join the stream here, but yeah. Okay, I can see one question here. Can I build an overhead tank for the water tank because I don't have enough space in the compound? Yes, you can. You can actually do an overhead tank. In short, we have overhead tanks in this factory. We have overhead tanks that we actually use. Normally, it's the raw water tank that are your overhead tanks. But for the treated tank needs to be in a place where there is shade because of the sunlight. You don't want organisms or anything growing there. So having um, an overhead tank for raw water is good. But for your semi-treated tank and your treated tank, you can do it in a shaded environment. Okay, another question here from the same person is how many kVA of solar battery lights we need to put in the factory of 2 machines? I know for a factory of 2 machines, usually it's recommended 12 kVA, but for solar, I would say 15 kVA because it's good for you to allow more room and space for the battery so that by the time you are installing the solar, in case there is any other thing that you will need to include in the future, the solar can be able to carry it. And there are some factories too that they install AC. Maybe you intend to expand in the future, or maybe you live in a hot climate, a place that is very hot. You might want to install 2 or 3 ACs too in the factory. So working with like that 12 to 15 kVA solar batteries will be able to carry most of all these things. Yeah. So yeah, the generators too that people usually use is this soundproof generator. That's for both the sachet and bottled water factory. When we initially started, we had a 60 kVA generator, but that 60 kVA generator was not very good like that because when we were producing bottled water, there were some equipments we had to off because it was not able to carry everything all at once. Sometimes we'll start producing, but when you switch on the shrink wrapping machine, that's to package the bottles, the sound of the generator will change. In short, at the point, the generator just got weak. It was a brand new generator, brand new. We unboxed it ourselves, removed the leather by ourselves. But the generator, after a while, when you switch on some equipment, the generator will just go off on its own. And we're spending on diesel, buying diesel. So we had to upgrade the generator too, because you can't have a generator that you will need to on it twice, or you will need to run it for a longer period of time just to do the whole production that I need to do for the day. So we upgraded to a 100 kVA generator, and while we still had the 60 kVA generator. So yeah, even with the 100 kVA generator, we had to do some extra connections, and we still had to manage it so that the new generator won't run down like the old generator. So those are just some of those major things that you need to know in regards to setting up with the power supply. Basically, once your factory is in a good location, that access to good road network, there is enough water in your borehole, you are not struggling with borehole water, you are not struggling with light. Once there is good road, there is enough space, there is light or solar, and there is water, you are good to go. In short, you own this business, because those are the major things that hinder people from this business. That's why I do tell people, some people will say they want to establish bottled water factory. It's not as if establishing bottled water factory is not good, but in the most case, most places where people want to set up this factory or these facilities are places where a lot of the people there consume sachet water. So if you can invest the money that you initially wanted to invest in bottled water, let's say maybe you're thinking of investing in a bottled water, you are thinking of setting up a bottled water company, and you don't really have a target market, because for bottled water, if you have a target market, that's when your sales and everything will stabilize. Because for bottled water, you need to buy PET bottles, you need to buy blowing machine, shrink wrapping machine, you need to buy labels, you need to get a blowing machine operator that will be making the bottles. You understand? You need to buy caps for the bottles, then yeah, with some few other things like that. So it takes a lot to produce bottled water. And if you don't have a target market and people who you want to be supplying to, if you don't have like good customer base, maybe like hotels, schools, or a place that you'll be supplying for, you just end up doing marketing, and be giving out water to people that will tell you go and come back after we've sold it. That's when we'll give you this thing. We'll give you the money. In short, at a point some years back when we initially established our bottled water, you know, now though we already have customers, we've already expanded, but back then we were still struggling here and there with getting customers for bottled water. We got to a point we said, had it been we knew that the money we even invested in the bottled water, that was us at that time, but now we are okay, so that you wouldn't go and misquote me. That time we were saying, Kai, had it been we even knew self, that money we used to set up the bottled water, we would have just invested it in the area where we are now, where we have this sachet water factory, to do like a very massive sachet water factory. Like me personally now, honestly, if I'm to establish a water factory now in a densely populated place, let me say in a place like this Gwagwalada axis, or this Kubwa axis in Abuja, or Nyanya Maraba General axis, what I'll do is just sachet water. If you can have a sachet water facility, imagine a sachet water factory, very big land of maybe like 1,000 square meters. Then you have solar, you have inverter of up to like 100 kVA self, just pure solar. Then you have like 10 pure water machines, and you have vehicles. You will just be producing day and night. You won't have any competition. That's just it. Your water will just be moving in the market. You can even have a cold room, an ice block machine, very big one, maybe one capable of carrying up to 150 bags, 200 bags. You can have them, or you can even have a big cold room that can carry up to 1,000 bags. That's for the pure water. From there, you see everybody within that location, they'll be coming to you for everything. Now, presently in this factory, one of our freezers that we supply cold water to our customers is connected to the solar. So anytime people need cold water, in short, there's one woman, she sells this local kunu and zobo. She knows that anytime she comes here for cold water, she will get it. Even if there is no light in the whole area overnight, she knows that there's solar here, and when she comes here for cold pure water, she'll get it. So it has built this rapport, and there's this consistency. She knows each time she comes, she will get it. And by so doing, we also have other people that do come, maybe as a result of referrals, or maybe they heard from other people that they should come here. So solar is very important. So I can't overemphasize the importance of solar, especially in Nigeria. In short, for most businesses, regardless of even the water business, if you have maybe a laundry business or maybe a bread making business, I wanted to buy bread the other day on my way back from work, and I stopped at a bakery, one Platters Bakery. I like their bread very well. So when I got there, I was engaging in a discussion with one of the cashier, and I saw on the wall a post that says this bakery is run with it runs on solar 75%. That's when I started having a discussion. I got to know that most of what they do there is mostly with solar. Because I was wondering, how are you people coping? How are you coping with some of the electricity challenges and some of those other issues that arise with doing business in Nigeria? And they say, okay, this is how they do. They're able to buy materials in bulk. They have the solar, they have this one, they have that one. There are a lot of activities going on there. So the solar has been able to help them with that. In short, even in our area too, those who have solar installed in their homes are the people that actually enjoy light. Can you imagine sleeping in your house now without solar, or the heat is too much? The heat is too much. Just walking down the streets, even in this factory now that I'm currently seated, if not because of the solar fan I have here with me, I would have started sweating too much because there's no light. So having solar is very important, and it will go a long way for you when you are doing your business. So I think I will soon round up this live stream. Let me answer these few questions before I go off. I think I will need you to come and inspect my factory when I'm done with the roofing in Lagos, so that I don't make mistakes. I would like you to inspect it. Okay. Yeah, we can. I do travel for inspections. In short, the last few inspections I did one in Abuja here before, and before leaving Lagos down to Abuja, I also did one inspection there. So, yeah, we can discuss about that one after chatting on WhatsApp. I'll get to know more about the project and we'll discuss from there. Hello, Sam. What's the importance of RO machine? Okay, the RO machine is the reverse osmosis machine. It is used for treating water. It is by far the most reliable way of treating water now in Nigeria. In short, even in most homes, they do recommend you install RO. There is RO for industrial uses, there's RO for domestic uses. The reverse osmosis membranes are able to filter out several particles, contaminants, and even saltiness in water. So the reverse osmosis machine is by far what's going to give you 99% pure water. So yeah, the reverse osmosis machine is good. And there are various sizes. There was one hospital I went to here. There was a time we went for maintenance at Deaf Hospital in Abuja. They have a water treatment plant and they have several reverse osmosis machines. I think those reverse osmosis machines were old because during the maintenance, if you saw the mud and the rust in that machine, you know that yes, this machine have served them well. So yeah, reverse osmosis is good. I'm even thinking of installing one in the kitchen. So yeah, it's a good way for treating water. And it's also able to treat out salt water. Salt water. Yeah. This question here says, okay, can locally made perform as imported one? Yeah, the locally made performs well. They do perform well. In this factory where we are now, we use the locally made reverse osmosis machine here. The same size with the other foreign one we use in our bottling facility. The main differences between locally constructed and the foreign one is just the makeup, the way they are constructed. Some of them are constructed, like a lot of the locally constructed ones are done with PVC pipes for the piping, and they use plastic valves for the valves. Then the control panels, the materials used here are usually locally sourced, and some of the filters, the work there is just something locally constructed. We don't get a lot of funding. Government doesn't usually invest or encourage businesses like this to thrive. That's even those in the manufacturing of some of all these things. Imagine you go to buy materials. As you're coming back from buying materials, maybe from Lagos, you have policemen stopping you and taxing you for the amount of goods you carry, or if they hear the kind of business you are doing. So there are just a lot of things, Nigerian factor, that comes into play. So that's why when some people hear locally constructed, they think maybe it's just like one substandard thing. But they actually try. The locally constructed do work well. Like the one that we use here that served us well. We recently did sanitization for sanitation, I mean, for the reverse osmosis machine. So what that does is sometimes, due to the high pressure of water that passes through the membranes, now if your borehole is a borehole that comes with particles, we recently drilled a borehole and we observed that the borehole, although over time this stops, but we observed that there were some particles and some debris actually trapping themselves inside the reverse osmosis membrane. So we had to do chemical flushing and sanitation for the membrane to push out some of all these things. So those are just some of the things that you need to do for the locally constructed reverse osmosis machine in case it has issues. But even the foreign ones too, they do have some of these issues. It's just that the foreign ones, they look fancier, and some of the materials they use are more modern. And I've seen a reverse osmosis machine that is screen touch, the control panel. So if you see our own local one, it's still buttons that you push. So that's why some of all these things are tagged, they are tagged locally constructed, and some are tagged foreign. But they do work well, both the locally constructed and the foreign one, depending on your budget and the aesthetics. Some people will tell you they don't like the looks of they don't like the way the locally constructed machine look. So just from the looks alone, they'll go for the foreign one. So usually it's like, but if you are working on a budget, I can guarantee you that, although let me not say guarantee, but I can assure you that from buying locally constructed items, you can still get the same result or even better results than some people who even use the foreign equipment. Okay, the last comment here says, okay, please, I wanted to call you, but you were not picking. Yeah, maybe I was occupied, I was busy. This my YouTube channel. I run the channel personally, and some of the calls, not even some, all the calls do come to my personal line. So there are sometimes maybe I'm sleeping. Like somebody messaged me yesterday. I just woke up in the morning and the first message I saw was I should delete the person's comment. He said, if you won't pick my call, go and delete your number from YouTube. And I was like, what does this guy mean? I saw the number and the person was actually chatting me from Switzerland. So I had to explain to him that, look, when you called me, I was sleeping. We are in different time zones. You called me at around, I think it was around 3 something, you called me in the night. Although sometimes I don't sleep early, but sometimes I do sleep early too. All these things you can't really tell. I was sleeping, I just woke up and somebody said I wasn't picking his calls, the person was complaining, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's why I do tell people. And each time I leave my contact, I write it there. You'll see it in brackets. I always put it there, WhatsApp only, or I'll write WhatsApp. Because I know it's not every time you call me that you will reach me. Sometimes I might be in a meeting, sometimes I might be driving, sometimes I might be commuting, I might be in a vehicle, I might be in a discussion with people, I might be in group, I could be anywhere. That is why I say send me a message on WhatsApp. You can even send me voice notes, and once I get them, I'll respond to them. So yeah, I believe with this, at least I should have clarified some of all those misunderstandings you might have. Anyways, if you watch the live stream this far, thank you for watching. And I think in the future I'll try to do more live streams here on YouTube so that I'll share more information. There are a lot of things to talk about setting up a water park here. In short, if I should say, I'll talk about some of the points I've jotted down here. I don't think I'll finish this live stream in the next 2 hours. So I'll just try to share the one which I can for now. If you have any question, leave a comment I will respond to the comment or send me a message on WhatsApp. Send me a message or send me a voice note, please. And yeah, if you want to join my coaching sessions, so I do hold coaching sessions also on WhatsApp. And the coaching session is not free, because in the coaching session, I also offer business plan templates. I offer a building plan for actually constructing your factory. I offer cost analysis reports that will help you understand the accounting of the business. That's understanding how to calculate your profit and loss. That's how to remove your cost of production and do those other calculations. I also offer NAFDAC checklists. This NAFDAC checklist will help you understand some of those things that NAFDAC come to look out for when they come for inspection, so that you won't have double inspection. If NAFDAC should do double inspection for you, that's double expenses. So yeah, just when you're a part of the online course, you benefit from this. There are also contacts too, which I share during the coaching session, if you need somebody that will supply materials for you. Because some of these people, you need trusted people. You can give somebody money to send materials for you, buy nylon for you. Nylon is 30 microns, required by NAFDAC for producing sachet water. But if you go and get any Kwekwe supplier, they will supply 25 microns for you and collect money for 30 microns. So that's why I offer some of these services. If by the time you are a member of the course, I will give you contact for NAFDAC registration, contact for materials, and maybe any other thing you need like that. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video, also share it. If you know anybody who intends to set up a water factory and who is interested in the business, you can also share my videos with them. And I'm sure in the future, we'll get to do business. And by the way, if you're a manufacturer or a supplier of industrial machines, maybe you supply machines for water production, maybe milk packaging, carbonated drinks, all those other things, you can contact me so that we'll see how we could do business. I'll have a look at your equipment and leave a few comments about them. So till the next live stream, I'm signing out.